Disclaimer. Hey Pookies, just so you know, I did not write this book, nor do I claim it. I'm just making sure I don't get sued.
Just making sure she doesn't get sued.
You know why that chapter, the last chapter, was literally short and only 8 minutes to read? Because this last chapter is 22 pages. Or, no, yeah, 22 pages. What the? Why would you make it 22 pages? I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of this. Okay, guys, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, guys. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so by the way, this is like my old version of the book, so yeah, but I'm letting my sister borrow it after I'm done. She can annotate on it if she wants. She can do little marks. I'll tell her. She'll probably listen to this chapter. Hey, Samira from the future. An impasse. Wait, chapter 24. An impasse. An impasse. My eyes opened to the bright white light. I was in an unfamiliar room, a white room. The wall beside me was covered in long vertical blinds over my head, and the glaring lights blinded me. I was propped up on a hard, uneven bed, a bed with rails. The pillows were flat and lumpy. There was an annoying beeping sound somewhere close by. I hoped that meant I was still alive. Death shouldn't be this uncomfortable. Girl, you wouldn't know. You're still alive. My hands were all twisted up with clear tubes, and something was taped across my face under my nose. I lifted my hand to rip it off. No, you don't. And the cool fingers caught my hand. Edward, I turned my head slightly, and his inquisitive face was just inches from mine, his chin resting on the edge of my pillow. I realized again that I was alive, this time with gratitude and elation. Oh, Edward, I'm so sorry. Shh, he hushed me. Everything's all right now. What happened? I couldn't remember clearly. My mind rebelled against me as I tried to recall. I was almost too late. I could have been too late, he whispered. His voice tormented. I was so stupid, Edward. I thought he had my mom. He tricked us all. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I need to call Charlie and my mom. I realized through the haze. Alice called them. Renee's here. Well, here in the hospital. She's getting something to eat right now. She's here? I tried to sit up, but the spinning in my head accelerated. His hands pushed me gently down onto the pillows. She'll be back soon, he promised. And you need to stay still. But what did you tell her? I panicked. I had no interest in being soothed. My mom was here and I was recovering from a vampire attack. Why did you tell her I was here? You fell down 2 flights of stairs through a window. He paused. You have to admit, it could happen. I sighed and it hurt. I stared at my body under the sheet and the huge lump that was my leg. How bad am I? I asked. You had a broken leg, 4 broken ribs, some cracks in your skull, bruising covering every inch of your skin, and you've lost a lot of blood. Yeah, no, like, Charlie, this is abusement. Like, her boyfriend's abusive. Charlie, I'm telling you now, you do not want this to lead to, like, 4 more books of them, like, no, it's like 3 more books of their love story happening. And it's just like, whoa, dude, you need help. You've lost a lot of blood. They gave you a few transfusions. I didn't like it. It made you smell all wrong for a while. That must have been a nice change for you. No, I like how you smell. How did you do it? I asked quietly. He knew what I meant at once. I'm not sure. He looked away from my wondering eyes, lifting my gauze-wrapped hand from the bed and holding it gently in his, carefully not to disrupt the wire connecting me to one of the monitors. I waited patiently for the rest. He sighed without returning my gaze. It was impossible to stop, he whispered. Impossible, but I did. He looked up finally with a half smile. I must love you. Don't I taste as good as I smell? I smiled in response. That hurt my face. Even better than I had imagined. Okay, weirdo. I'm sorry, I apologized. He raised his eyes to the ceiling. of all the things to apologize for. What should I apologize for? For every nearly taking yourself away from me forever. I'm sorry, I apologized again. I know why you did it. His voice was comforting. It was still irrational, of course. You should have waited for me. You should have told me. You wouldn't have let me go. No, he agreed in a grim tone. I wouldn't. Some very unpleasant memories were beginning to come back to me. I shuddered and then winced. Anyways, where was I? Oh shit, where was I for real? Some very unpleasant memories were beginning to come back to me. I shuddered and then winced. He was instantly anxious. Bella, what's wrong? What happened to James? After I pulled him off of you, Emmett and Jasper took care of him. There was a fierce note of regret in his voice. This confused me. I didn't see Emmett and Jasper there. They had to leave the room. There was a lot of blood. But you stayed. Yes, I stayed. And Alice and Carlisle? I said in wonder. They love you, too, you know. A flash of painful images from the last time I'd seen Allison reminded me of something. Did Alice see the tape? I asked anxiously. Yes, a new sound darkened his voice, a tone of sheer hatred. She was always in the dark. That's why she didn't remember. I know. She understands now. His voice was even and his his face was black with fury. What? Yo, is he doing blackface? Y'all, I can't. I tried to reach his voice, well, no. Guys, I'm sorry. Like, sometimes I be saying the most dumb things, like, oh, he's doing blackface. Like, no. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. I tried to reach his face with my free hand, but something stopped me. I glanced down to see the ivy pulling at my hand. Ugh, I winced. What is it? I asked, anxiously distracted, but... Hello? Oh, okay, sorry. I thought someone was calling me. But not enough. The bleakness did not entirely leave his eyes. Needles, I explained, looking away from one in my hand. I concentrated on the warped ceiling tile and tried to breathe deeply despite the ache in my ribs. Afraid of a needle, he muttered to himself under his breath, shaking his head. Oh, a sadistic vampire intent on torturing her to death. Sure, no problem. She runs away with him, runs off to meet him. An Ivy, on the other hand. An Ivy, yeah. I rolled my eyes. I was pleased to discover that this reaction at least was painful. I decided to change the subject. Why are you here? I asked. He stared at me, first confused, then hurt, touching his eye. His brow pulled together as he frowned. Do you want me to leave? No, I protested, horrified by the thought. No, I meant, why does my mother think that you're here? I need to have my story straight before she gets back. Oh, he said, and his forehead smoothed back into marble. I came to Phoenix to talk some sense into you, to convince you to come back to Forks. His wide eyes were earnest and sincere. I almost believed in myself. You agreed to see me, drove out to the hotel where I was staying with Carlisle and Alice. Of course, I was there with parental supervision. He inserted virtuously. But you tripped on the stairs on the way to my room, and you know the rest. You don't need to remember any details, though. You have an good excuse to be a little muddled about the finer points. I thought about it for a moment. There were a few flaws with that story, like no broken windows. Not really. Alice had a bit too much fun fabricating evidence. It all had been taken care of very convincingly. You should probably sue the hotel if you wanted to. You could probably sue the hotel if you wanted to. You have nothing to worry about, he promised, stroking my cheek with the lightest of touches. Your only job now is to heal. I was so lost to the soreness of the fog of medication that I didn't respond to his touch. The beeping of the monitor jumped through erratically now that he wasn't the only one who could hear my heart misbehave. That's going to be embarrassing, I muttered to myself. He chuckled, and a speculative look came into his eye. I wonder. He leaned in slowly, the beeping noise accelerating wildly before his lips even touched me. And then they did, although with the most gentle pressure, the beeping stopped altogether. He looked back abruptly, his anxious expression turning to relief as the monitor reported the restarting of my heart. It seems that I'm going to have to be more careful with you than usual. I'm not finished kissing you, I complained. Don't make me come over here. There. He grinned and bent his lips lightly to meet the monitor to mine. The monitor went wild, but then his lips were taut. He pulled away. I think I hear your mother, he said, grinning again. Don't leave me, I cried, an irrational surge of panic flooding through me. I couldn't let him go. He might disappear from me again. He read the horror in my eyes for a short second. I won't, he promised solemnly. Then he smiled. I'll take a nap. He moved from the hard plastic chair by my side to the turquoise fox leather recliner at the foot of my bed, leaning it all the way back and closing his eyes. He was perfectly still. Don't forget to breathe, I asked. I whispered sarcastically. He took a deep breath and his eyes still closed. I could hear my mother now. She was talking to someone, maybe a nurse, and she sounded tired and upset. I wanted to jump out of the bed and run to her, to calm her, promise that everything was fine, but I wasn't in any sort of shape for jumping, so I waited impatiently. The door opened a crack and she peeked through. Mom, I whispered, my voice full of love and relief. She took in Edward's still form on the recliner and tiptoed to my bedside. He never leaves, does he? Mom, I'm so glad to see you. Oh wait, he never leaves, does she? She mumbled to herself. Mom, I'm so glad to see you. She bent down to hug me gently, and I felt warm tears falling on my cheeks. Bella, I was so upset. I'm sorry, Mom, but everything's fine now. It's okay, I comforted her. I'm just glad to finally see your eyes open. She sat on the edge of my bed. I suddenly realized that I didn't have any idea when it was. How long have they been closed? It's Friday, hun. You've been out for a while. Friday? I was shocked. I tried to remember what day it had happened when, but I didn't want to think about that. They had to keep you sedated for a while, honey. You've got a lot of injuries. I know, I could feel them. You're lucky Dr. Cullen was there. He was such a nice man. He's such a nice man. Very young, though. He looks more like a model than a doctor. You met Carlisle? And Edward's sister, Alice. She's a very lovely girl. She is. I agreed wholeheartedly. She glanced over her shoulder at Edward, lying with his eyes closed in the chair. You didn't tell me you had such good friends in Forks. I cringed and then moaned. What hurts? She demanded anxiously, turning back to me. Edward's eyes flashed to my face. It's fine, I assured them. I have to remember not to move. He lapsed back into his phony slumber. I took advantage of my mother's momentary distraction to keep the subject from returning to my less than candid behavior. Where's Phil? I asked quickly. Florida. Oh, Bella, you've never guessed. Just when we're about to leave, the best news. Phil got signed? I asked. Yes, how did you guess? The Suns. Can you believe it? That's great, Mom, I said enthusiastically, as I could manage, though I had little idea what that meant. And you'll like Jacksonville so much, she gushed, while I stared at her vacantly. I was a little bit worried when Phil started talking about Akron, but with the snow and everything, because you know I hate the cold. But now Jacksonville, it's always sunny, the humidity really isn't that bad. We found the cutest house, yellow with white trim, and the porch was just like in an old movie. And this huge oak tree. And it's just a few minutes from the ocean, and you'll have your own bathroom. Wait, Mom, I interrupted. Edward still had his eyes closed, but he looked too tense to pass as asleep. What are you talking about? I'm not going to Florida. I live in Forks. We don't have to anymore, silly, she laughed. Bill will be around. We'll be able to be around so much more now. We've talked about it a lot. And what I'm gonna do is trade off on the away games. Half of the time with you, half of the time with him. Mom, I hesitated, wondering how best to to be diplomatic about this. I want to live in Forks. I'm already settled in at school, and I have a couple of girlfriends. Wow, hey, she got girlfriends now. She glanced toward Edward again. Then, when I reminded her of friends, so I tried another distraction. And Charlie needs me. He's just all alone up there. He can't cook at all. You want to stay in Forks? She asked, bewildered. The idea was inconceivable. I don't know how to say that word. That was a really big word. And then her eyes flickered back toward Edward. Why? I told you, school, Charlie. Ouch. I shrugged. Not a good idea. Her hands fluttered helplessly over me, trying to find a safe place to pat. She made it do with my forehead. It was unbandaged. Bella, honey, you hate Forks, she reminded you. It's not so bad. She frowned and looked back and forth between Edward and me, this time very deliberately. Is it this boy? She whispered. I opened my mouth to lie. Her eyes were scrutinizing my face, and I knew she would see through that. He's part of it, I admitted. No need to confess how big of a part. So you've had a chance to talk with Edward, I asked. Yes, she hesitated, looking at his perfectly still form. And I wanted to talk to you about it. Uh-oh. About what? I asked. I think that boy's in love with you, she accused, keeping her voice low. I think so too, I confided. How do you feel about him? She only poorly concealed the raging curiosity in her voice. By the way, guys, it's still cold up in here. So I had the heater and the door open. Oh no, the door's closed now. Never mind. I sighed, looking away. Oh my god. Sorry, y'all. I had to cough a little bit. I sighed, looking away. As much as I loved my mom, this was not a conversation I wanted to have with her. I'm perfectly crazy about him. That sounded like something a teenager with her first boyfriend might say. Well, he seems nice. And, my goodness, he's incredibly good looking. But you're so young, Bella. Her voice was unsure. As far as I could remember, this was the first time since I was 8 that she'd come close to trying to sound like a parental authority. I recognized the reasonable but firm tone of voice from talks I'd had with her about men. I know that, Mom. Don't worry about it. It's just a crush. I soothed her. That's right, she agreed, easily pleased. Then she sighed and glanced guiltily over her shoulder at the big round clock on the wall. Do you need to go? She bit her lip. Phil's supposed to call in a little while. I didn't know you were going to wake up. No problem, Mom. I tried to tone down the relief so she wouldn't get her feelings hurt. I won't be alone. I'll be back soon. I've been sleeping here, you know, she announced, proud of herself. Oh, Mom, you didn't have to do that. You can sleep at home. I'll never notice. The swirl of painkillers in my brain was making it hard to concentrate. Even now, apparently, I'd been sleeping for days. I was so nervous. Hold on. Oh, okay. I was going to say, why is she at school? Sorry, someone in real life, not in this book. Apparently, I've been sleeping for days. I was too nervous, she admitted sheepishly. There's been some crime in the neighborhood, and I don't like being there alone. Crime? I asked in alarm. Someone broke into the dance studio around the corner from the house and burned it to the ground. There's nothing left at all. They left the stolen car right out in front. Do you remember when you used to dance there, honey? Oh my god, I'm missing. Okay, bye guys. This is gonna be the first part. Bye. So you won't believe it, but I recorded the whole part 2 of this, the rest of this audiobook, and you won't believe it. I didn't record it. I was like talking to myself. I was reading it to myself. So now I have to repeat the damn thing. I'm so mad. Oh my god, I'm so mad. Oh. Okay, it's fine though. It's fine. I'll just read it really fast. I remember I shivered and winced. I can't stay, baby, if you need me. I can stay, baby, if you need me. No, Mom, I'll be fine. Edward will be with me. She looked like that might be why she wanted to stay. I'll be back tonight. It sounded as much like a warning as it sounded like a promise. And she glanced at Edward again as she said it. I love you, Mom. I love you too, Bella. Try to be more careful when you walk, honey. I don't want to lose you. Edward's eyes stayed closed, but a wide grin flashed across his face. A nurse came bustling in, then to check all my tubes and wires. My mother kissed my forehead, patted my gauze wrapped hand, and left. The nurse was checking the paper readout on my heart monitor. Are you feeling anxious, honey? Your heart rate got a little high there. I'm fine, I assured her. I'll tell your RN that you're awake. She'll be in to see you in a minute. As soon as she closed the door, Edward was at my side. You stole a car? I raised my eyebrows. He smiled, unrepentant. It was a good car, very fast. How was your nap? I asked. Interesting. His eyes narrowed. What? He looked down while he answered. I'm surprised I thought Florida and your mother, and, well, I thought that's what you would want. I stared at him uncomprehendingly. You'd be stuck inside all day in Florida. You'll be able to come out at night, just like a real vampire. He almost smiled, but not quite. And then his face was grave. I would stay in Forks, Bella, or somewhere like it, he explained. Some place where I couldn't hurt you anymore. It didn't sink in at first. I continued to stare at him blankly as the words one by one clicked into place in my head like a ghastly puzzle. I was barely conscious of the sound of my heart accelerating, though, as my breathing became hyperventilation. I was aware of the sharp aching in my protesting ribs. He didn't say anything. He watched my face warily, as the pain that had nothing to do with broken bones, pain that was indefinitely worse, threatened to crush me. And then another nurse walked purposefully into the room. Edward sat still as stone as she took in my expression, as with a practiced eye before turning to the monitors. Time for more pain medication, sweetheart? She asked, kindly tapping the IV. No, no, I mumbled, trying to keep the agony out of my voice. I don't need anything. I couldn't afford to close my eyes now. No need to be brave, honey. It's better if you don't get too stressed out. You need to rest. She waited, but I shook my head. Okay, she sighed. Hit the call button when you're ready. She gave Edward a stern look and threw one more anxious glance at the machinery before leaving. His cool hands. Lock in, lock in. Oh, lock in. What the heck? His cool hands were on my face. I stared at him with wild eyes. Shh, Bella, calm down. Don't leave me, I begged in a broken voice. I won't, he promised. Now relax before I call the nurse back to sedate you. But my heart couldn't slow. Bella, he stroked my face anxiously. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here as long as you need me. Do you swear you won't leave me? I whispered. I tried to control the gasping at least. My ribs were throbbing. He thought his he put his hands on either side of my face and brought his face close to mine. His eyes were wide and serious, I swear. The smell of his breath was soothing. It seemed to ease the ache of my breathing. Oh, my cat is so cute. He continued to hold my gaze while my body was slowly relaxed, and the beeping returned to a normal pace. His eyes were dark, closer to black than gold today. Better? He asked. Yes, I said cautiously. He shook his head, muttered something unintelligible. I thought I picked out the word overreaction. Why did you say that? I whispered, trying to keep my voice from shaking. Are you tired of having to save me all the time? Do you want me to go away? No, I don't want to be without you, Bella. Of course not. Be rational, but I had no problem with saving you, either if it weren't for the fact that I was the one putting you in danger, that I'm the reason you're here. Yes, you are the reason, I frowned. The reason I'm here alive. Barely, his voice was just whispered. Covered in gauze and plastered and hardly able to move. I wasn't referring to my most recent near death experience, I said, growing irritated. I was thinking of the others. You can take your pick. If it weren't for you, I would be rotting away in Fork Cemetery. He winced at my words, but the haunted look didn't leave his eyes. That's not the worst part, though, he continued to whisper. He acted as if I hadn't spoken. not seeing you there on the floor, crumbled and broken. His voice was choked, not thinking I was too late, not even not even hearing you in pain, scream in pain. All those unbearable memories that I'll carry with me for the rest of my of eternity. Of eternity. No, the very worst was feeling, knowing that I couldn't stop, believing that I was going to kill you myself. But you didn't. I could have so easily. I knew I needed to stay calm, but he was trying to talk himself into leaving me, and the panic fluttered in my lungs, trying to get out. Promise me, I whispered. What? You know what? I was starting to get angry now. He was so stubbornly determined to dwell on the negative. He heard the change in my tone. His eyes tightened. I don't seem to be strong enough to stay away from you, so I suppose you'll get your way, whether it kills you or not, he added roughly. Good. He hadn't promised, though, a fact that I had not missed. The panic was only barely contained. I had no strength left to control the anger. You told me how you stopped. Now I want to know why, I demanded. Why? He repeated wearily. Why you did it. Why you didn't let the venom spread. By now I would just be like you. Edward's eyes seemed to turn flat black, and I remembered that this was something he never intended me to know. Alice must have been preoccupied by the things she'd learned about herself, or she'd been very careful with her thoughts around him. Clearly he had no idea that she'd filled me in on one of the mechanics' conversions. He was surprised and infuriated. His nostrils flared. His mouth looked as if it was chiseled from stone. He wasn't going to answer, that much was clear. I'll be the first to admit that I have no experience with relationships, I said, but it seemed logical. A man and a woman have to be somewhat equal, as in one of them can't always be swooping in and saving the other. They have no they have to save each other equally. He folded his arms on the side of my bed and rested his chin on his arm. His expression was smooth, the anger reined in. Evidently, he'd decided he was angry with me. I'd hoped I'd get a chance to warn Alice before he caught up with her. You have saved me, he said quietly. I can't always be Lois Lane, I insisted. I want to be Superman, too. You don't know what you're asking. His voice was soft, and he stared intently at the edge of the pillow. I think I do. Bella, you don't know. I've had almost 90 years to think about this, and I'm still not sure. Do you wish that Carlyle hadn't saved you? No, don't wish that. He paused before continuing. But my life was over. I wasn't giving up anything. You're my life. You're the only thing it would hurt me to lose. I was getting better at this. It was easy to admit how much I needed him. He was very calm, though, decided. I can't do that, Bella. I won't do that to you. Why not? My throat rasped and the words weren't as loud as I meant them to be. Don't tell me it's too hard. After today, or I guess it wasn't. I guess it was a few days ago. Anyways, after that, it should be nothing. He glared at me. And the pain, he asked. I blanched. I couldn't help it, but I tried to keep my expression from showing how clearly I remember the feeling, the fire in my veins. That's my problem, I said. I can handle it. It's possible to take bravery to a point where it becomes insanity. It's not an issue. 3 days, big deal. Edward grimaced again as his words reminded him that I was more informed than he had intended me to be. I watched him repress the anger, watched as his eyes grew speculative. Charlie, he asked curtly. Renee? Minutes passed in silence as I struggled to answer his question. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. I closed it again. He waited, and his expression became triumphant because he knew I had no true answer. Look, that's not an issue either, I finally muttered. My voice was unconvincing, as it always was when I lied. Renee has always made the choices that worked for her, and she'd want me to do that the same. And Charlie's resilient. He's used to being on his own. I can't take care of them forever. I have my own life to live. Exactly, he snapped, and I won't end it for you. If you're waiting for me to be in my deathbed, I've got news for you. I was just there. You're going to recover, he reminded me. I took a deep breath to calm myself, ignoring the spasm of pain it triggered. I stared at him and he stared back. There was no compromise in his face. No, I said, I'm not. His forehead creased. Of course you are. You may have a scar or two. You're wrong, I insisted. I'm going to die. Really, Bella? He was anxious now. You'll be out of here in a few days, 2 weeks at most. I glared at him. I may not die now, but I'm going to die sometime. Every minute of the day I get closer. I'm going to get old. He frowned as what I was saying sunk in, pressing his long fingers to his temples and closing his eyes. That's how it's supposed to happen, how it should happen, how it would have happened if I didn't exist and I couldn't exist. I snorted. He opened his eyes in surprise. That's stupid. Just like going to someone who's just won the lottery, taking their money and saying, look, let's just go back to how things should be. It's better that way. And I'm not buying it. I'm hardly a lottery prize, he growled. That's right, you're much better. He rolled his eyes and set his lips. Bella, we're not having this discussion anymore. I refuse to damn you to an eternity of night. And that's the end of it. Let me make sure I'm recording. Yep, I know that's right. Um, If you think that's the end, you don't know me very well, I warned him. You're not the only vampire I know. His eyes went black again. Alice wouldn't dare. And for a moment he looked so frightening that I couldn't help but believe it. I couldn't imagine someone brave enough to cross him. Alice already saw it, didn't she? I guess. I guessed. That's why the things she said upset you. She says upset you. She knows I'm going to be like you someday. She's wrong. She also saw you dead, but that didn't happen either. You'll never catch me betting against Alice. We stared at each other for a very long time. It was quiet except for the whirling of machines, the beeping, the dripping, the ticking of the big clock on the wall. Finally his expression softened. So where does that leave us? I wondered. He chuckled humorously. Humorlessly. I believe it's called an impasse. I sighed. Ouch, I muttered. How are you feeling? He asked, eyeing the button for the nurse. I'm fine, I lied. I don't believe you, she said gently. I'm not going back to sleep. You need a rest. All this arguing isn't good for you. So I give in. So give in, I hinted. Nice try. He reached for the button. No, he ignored me. Yes. Yes, the speaker on the wall squawked. I think we're ready for more pain medication. It's always we. Like, girl, you're not her. So why are you saying we? You could have gone like, she's ready. Or, hey, I think Bella wants that pain medication. It's always like we, like a unit. Like, girl, no. They think that you're an abusive person and it's showing. Because I would go like, girl, get away from my patient. He said calmly, ignoring my furious expression. I'll send in the nurse. The voice sounded very bored. I won't take it, I promise. He looked toward the sack of fluids hanging beside my bed. I don't think they're going to ask you to swallow anything. My heart rate started to climb. He read the fear in my eyes and sighed in frustration. Bella, you're in pain. You need to relax so you can heal. Why are you being so difficult? They're not going to put any more needles in you. I'm not afraid of needles, I mumbled. I'm afraid to close my eyes. Then he smiled, his crooked smile, and took my face between his hands. I told you I'm not going anywhere. Don't be afraid. As long as it makes you happy, I'll be here. I smiled, ignoring the ache in my cheeks. You're talking about forever, you know. Oh, you'll get over it. It's just a crush. Oh. Oh, you'll get over. I shook my head in disbelief. It made me dizzy. I was shocked when Renee swallowed that one. I know you know better. That's the beautiful thing about being human. He told me things change. My eyes narrowed. Don't hold your breath. He was laughing when the nurse came in, brandishing a syringe. Excuse me, she said brusquely to Edward. I don't know. That's a big word, guys. He got up and crossed to the end of the small room. Leaning against the wall, he folded his arms and waited. I kept my eyes on him, still apprehensive. He met my gaze calmly. There you go, honey, the nurse smiled as she injected the medication into my tube. You'll feel better now. Thanks, I mumbled, unenthusiastic. It didn't take long. I could feel the drowsiness trickling through my bloodstream almost immediately. That ought to do it, she mumbled as my eyelids drooped. She must have left the room because something cold and smooth touched my face. Stay, the word was slurred. I will, he promised. His voice was beautiful, like a lullaby. Like I said, as long as it makes you happy, as long as it's what's best for you. I tried to shake my head, but it was too heavy. It's not the same, I mumbled. He laughed. Don't worry about that now, Bella. You can argue with me when you wake up. I think I smiled. Okay.
I could feel his lips at my ear. I love you, he whispered. Me too, I know. He laughed quietly. I turned my head slightly, searching. He knew what I was after. His lips touched mine gently. Thanks, I sighed. Anytime. I wasn't really there at all anymore, but I fought against the stubborn weakly. That's a big word. Stubborn? I don't know. There was one more thing I wanted to tell him. Edward, I struggled to pronounce his name clearly. Yes, I'm betting on Alice, I mumbled. And then the night closed over me. Oh, I just had to read that twice. My mouth hurts. But it's okay, because we're done. We're done. Bye, guys.
Remember, I did not write
Write
this
this
book.
book.
Goodbye.